The scream tore through the afternoon air like a blade, sharp, panicked, and desperate. On the busy street outside Lincoln Elementary, a crowd scattered as a black SUV screeched to a halt, and two masked men jumped out. One of them aimed a gun straight toward a little boy clutching his school bag, frozen in fear. In that split second, a man in worn jeans and a faded brown jacket sprinted forward. Without thinking twice, he shoved the child to the ground and threw himself over him. A loud crack echoed through the street. The man fell, his body collapsing protectively over the boy's trembling frame. As the kidnappers fled, tires screeching, the man whispered weakly, "You're safe, kid," before darkness took him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of good people still existing in this world, then pause for a moment, hit the like button, share this story, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your small act of support helps us spread more true-hearted tales like this one. His name was Ethan Cole, a 36-year-old single father from a small town called Riverview. Once a firefighter, now a delivery driver struggling to make ends meet after losing his job during budget cuts. He lived in a modest rented house on the edge of town with his 8-year-old daughter, Mila, a bright little girl with pigtails and eyes full of dreams. Life hadn't been kind to Ethan. His wife, Clara, had passed away from a rare illness when Mila was only 2. And since then, Ethan's entire world revolved around keeping his little girl safe, fed, and smiling even if it meant skipping meals himself. The day he took that bullet, Ethan had just finished a shift and was waiting across from the school to pick Mila up. He didn't even know the boy he saved, a small, well-dressed child who just stepped out of a luxury car. The world saw an ordinary man collapsing in the street. But Mila saw her hero, her father, bleeding on the pavement. She screamed for help as people rushed in. The boy's chauffeur called an ambulance, and within minutes, the scene turned chaotic. At the hospital, Ethan was in surgery for 4 hours. The bullet had grazed his ribs, punctured his shoulder, and barely missed his lung. When he finally woke up, he found Mila sleeping on the chair beside him, her tiny hand still clutching his fingers. She had cried herself to sleep there. Despite the pain, Ethan smiled weakly. "Hey, Bug," he whispered. "Dad's okay." He had no idea that their life, was about to change forever. The boy he had saved was Ryan Davenport, the 10-year-old son of Isabella Davenport, the CEO of one of the biggest tech companies in the state, Davenport Dynamics. The incident had been caught on several security cameras and within hours, the footage went viral. Headlines called him the brave single dad and everyday hero of Riverview. But Ethan didn't care about the attention. He cared only about getting back to work. The hospital bills were already more than he could afford, and his delivery van was parked miles away, probably ticketed. Still, when a nurse told him someone wanted to see him, he wasn't expecting what came next. A tall woman in her mid-30s entered the room, elegant but with tear-stained eyes. It was Isabella. Behind her stood young Ryan, clutching a stuffed bear. "Mr. Cole," she said softly, her voice trembling. "You saved my son's life. I don't even have words to thank you." Ethan shook his head slowly. "Ma'am, I just did what anyone would have done." Isabella smiled faintly through tears. "No. Not everyone would risk their life for a stranger." Ryan walked closer to the bed and whispered, "You're my hero." Ethan's eyes glistened. "Nah, buddy, heroes wear capes. I just wear old jackets." The boy giggled, and for a moment, the sterile hospital room felt warm. A few days later, Ethan was discharged. The doctor advised rest, but he couldn't afford time off. His shoulder burned every time he moved, yet he pushed through. He picked up extra shifts, tried to pay off the hospital debt, and pretended everything was fine for Mila's sake. But that night, as he tucked her into bed, she looked up at him and asked, "Daddy, why do good people always get hurt?" Ethan froze. That question hit deep. He stroked her hair and said, "Sometimes good people get hurt so others don't have to. But that's what makes it worth it." She smiled sleepily. "Then you're the bravest good person ever." He laughed softly, but behind that smile was exhaustion, physical, emotional, and financial. He didn't know how much longer he could hold everything together. Then, the next morning, as the sun broke over Riverview, Ethan stepped outside to find 6 black SUVs parked in front of his small house. His heart stopped. For a moment, he thought it was trouble, maybe reporters, maybe debt collectors. But as the doors opened, men in black suits stepped out. One of them smiled politely and said, "Mr. Cole, Ms. Davenport would like a word." Ethan's breath caught. Isabella Davenport herself emerged from the middle SUV, dressed simply this time, not like a CEO but like someone carrying something heavy in her heart. She walked up the short path to his porch, her eyes scanning the humble house. "Mr. Cole," she said gently, "I hope we didn't startle you." Ethan blinked, still confused. "A little," he admitted. "People don't usually pull up like that unless I'm in a movie." Isabella smiled faintly. "Maybe this is the part where things start to change." She handed him a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter and a set of keys. Ethan frowned, unfolding it slowly. It wasn't just a thank you note, it was a deed.